Hi guys, in this video we are going to discuss about the optional class. What is an optional class? Optional class is one of the Java 8 features. So if you are attending any interviews, most of the interviews they are going to ask about what are the Java 8 features. So you are must be aware of what are the Java 8 features. Okay, I started this series regarding the all Java 8 features. Okay, so if you are watching this video first time, please watch my previous two videos. On that, I explain the what are the Java 8 features we have, and what is the use of the static and default methods in interface, and where we are going to use it. So, in my videos, I'm not going to explain in a normal way, like on what definition, what are the methods. It's not the way I'm going to teach you. So here I'm going to explain in depth, like where we are going to use it, and in which situation which one is useful to us. Are we really going to use this future in real time or not? Such type of kinds I'm going to explain you in a practical way. So if you are watching my videos in the first time, please subscribe it. Okay, let's get into the topic. So optional class. Optional class is one of the Java 8 features. Okay. So then if you are talking about the optional class, first we need to divide into three categories. First one is definition is important. So if anyone asks what is the optional class, we are in a situation to explain. So okay, this is the optional class definition. Okay, that means you are not going to buy heart anything. So we need to understand the concept, then only we can give that proper answer to the interview. Okay, so what is the definition, and how we are going to create the optional class instance. Optional class itself, it is a class. In Java, everything is related to the class only, right? Optional class itself, it is a class. Okay, so if it is a class, then what we have to do, we are going to create the instance for that. So if you create the instance, then only you can able to use the optional class. Okay, how many ways we have to create the optional class? Then once the optional class instance is created, then if you want to use it, definitely you need to have the sum of the methods, right? So optional class itself, it is going to contain the sum of the default methods. So what are the methods and where we are going to use it? What is the use of this optional class in real time? Practically, we are going to check in this video. Okay, so then coming to the first, what is optional? Okay, what is optional? So what is optional class? It is like some kind of the definition scenario. Optional is a container object in Java that may or may not hold a non-null value. It's designed to handle the absence of the value in a more controlled way compared to using null. What it mean? So if you read that sentence, maybe it not that much understandable. Okay, let me explain you clearly. Now you have a one box. Okay, you have one box. So now you have your mobile with you. So now you are going to put your mobile in that box. Then the box is going to contain that mobile. Okay. Then if you are not keeping that mobile in your box, the box won't contain anything, but it is an empty box. Okay, it is an empty box. That means optional is also like a one box or container. It may contains value or may not contains value. That means if you put that mobile in that box, it contains that mobile, or else it keeps empty. Okay, so similarly, how we are going to that box is maybe contains value, maybe not be contains value. Similarly, that kind of scenario only optional class. Like optional class is a container. If you put the data on it, it will contain the data. So if you didn't put the data, it is going to be empty. Okay, so that is the definition. I hope you understand that optional class. Then, okay, then what is the purpose of the optional class? The purpose of the optional class is, now if you are writing any Java program, we are going to encounter null pointer exceptions. where we are going to encounter null point exceptions, that we need to understand first. Okay, before understanding purpose of the optional, first we need to understand, okay, what is the purpose. The main purpose of optional is provide a way to avoid null pointer exception. That is clear. Okay, but the which situation we will get null pointer exception, first you should understand which situation you are going to null pointer exception. That we need to understand. First we will understand that situation, then we'll talk about this purpose of the optional. Okay, so this is my Eclipse. Previously I created this employee object, employee class, sorry, not object, it is a class, employee class. It contains the three variables: id, name, email. Okay, now I'm going to create one main class main, select public static void main. Okay, I selected. Then I'm going to create one method here. Okay, get employee info. Okay, so this is the method I'm going to create it. Here I'm going to create my employee class object. emp equal to new emp. Okay, the dot set id to, so whatever the values if you want you can keep here. So while you are watching this video, please practice, then only you will understand. So by listening we can understand the concept, but if you want to remember forever, definitely you need to practice. So okay, this is my object. I'm going to return this one. So for returning this object we are going to use the return keyword. Here I'm going to return this object, change type to emp. So this is the my method, it is going to return the this value. Okay, so now I'm going to print the what is the name of employee, the get name. So now we are going to run this. So see, we are able to see the name of the employee. Okay, but what if I'm not going to set anything? So this is simply returning the null. Okay, then let's see what you are going to get it. What you are getting, you are getting the null pointer exception. Why you are getting null pointer exception? Actually your expectation, this method need to return the employee object, but this method is not returning the employee object, it is returning the null value. Okay, so now this this class reference, employee class reference, holding the null instead of the data, it is holding the null value. So if you want, if you perform any operations on null value, so you will get the null pointer exception. Okay, so I think you understand the situation. Okay, in real time. Okay, now why you are returning null? So anyway we are going to keep the data here, right? So you can return this employee object instead of this one. Why you are giving the null? So this is a normal, I mean for your understanding I'm writing this code, but in case of the real time, so you are not going to hardcode the data. So you are going to pull the data from the database. Maybe based on your criteria, if data is not available, so the query itself, it is going to return the null object. You cannot predict the data will be written in the runtime. In the runtime, maybe you will get the object or may not be you will get the object. So if you are not handling this null pointer exceptions, so maybe let's say an example. Now you gave the one criteria like I need the employee based on the this much of the salary, like $500 to $1,000. So if you find the query, so if the salaries, based on the salaries, if you have the data of the employees, it will run the list of employees data. But if it is not available, it is going to return the null. So once you get the data, once you fire the query, you are going to perform, you are going to write, you are going to perform operation on the respective object. That time, if it is contains the data, you don't have any issue. If it is not contain the data, then you will face the null pointer exceptions. So that we cannot predict, right? So the operations is going to decide at the time of the runtime. So the runtime, maybe the data will be available or may not be available. But as a good developer, what we supposed to do, we need to handle these null pointer exceptions. If you didn't handle this null pointer exceptions, the application is going to terminate abnormally. That means whatever you done, so that won't be work. So if you handle this null pointer exceptions, then only your program will work. Okay, I think you up to now you understand what is the null pointer exception. Okay, so this is a null pointer exceptions. Okay, now you can understand simply purpose of the optional. The main purpose of the optional is to provide a way to avoid null pointer exceptions. So just now we discussed what are the null pointer exceptions, the situations we understand. So to avoid the situations, we are going to use the optional class. Okay, okay, okay. So but if you see one point, okay, I understand the null pointer exception, the situation, but this option, by using the optional, we are going to we are going to handle the null pointer exception. What before that, before Java 8, how we are going to handle this null pointer exception? First, we need to see that one also. Before Java 8, we are going to use the null checks. Okay, we are going to check the null. So let's say an example. Here we are going to write the condition like employee info, employee info not equal to null, else we can write the condition object is null. Okay, you can see object is null. This is the way before Java 8 we are going to handle null point exceptions. Okay, this is the way. Now, but as per the Java standards, it is not recommended to handle null pointer exceptions by using null. So if you are using the null, you need to have the multiple conditions. You need to check the each and every variable and everything manual. Okay, that is creating the button, and it is not recommended way to handle the nulls. So anyway, you have the optional class. Why should you use the null checks? You have to use the optional. So if you use the optional, the code is more readable. What is the purpose? Anyway, you are able to handle the null pointer exceptions by using the null also, but that is not recommendable. But why should we go for null? In Java we have, anyway we have the optional. By using the optional, we can able to handle the null pointer exceptions. Okay, so if you use the option, the code is more readable. If anyone reading your code, they can simply understand, and it is improve your coding standards also. Okay, now, so this situation, how we are going to handle by using the optional, we are going to check it now. Okay, now this is the, I'm going to remove this code. In here, optional of nullable. For now, just ignore these methods. I will explain one by one. Okay, just I'm going to see the difference, how we are going to handle that one. Okay, here if of nullable dot is present, else Sysout of nullable dot get name. So let's print this one. See, so now same previous code how it is working, same thing it is working, right? So now I'm creating the optional object by using the employee reference. So then I'm going to check by using the isPresent method. So if it is contains, it is going to execute this code, or else it will go to the else block and execute this one. Okay, let's uncomment this one. Okay, return the employee object, then the employee object, and run the code once again. See, John. So this is the way we are going to use optional class to eliminate the null pointer exception. Okay, so this is the code with null checks. Okay, I will share these notes to you. Okay, no problem for that, no need to write anything. I will share these notes uh, in the my you in the video description. I will share this link to everyone so you can access this one. Okay, so you can understand, right? So now what is the optional class, what is the purpose, and how we are going to have null pointer exception without optional and with option. This is the difference. Maybe with optional, maybe you are not aware of the how to use of nullable is present. So you have no idea about this one, but in the next we are going to discuss these things. Okay, then you can realize what is use of each and every method. Here we use what is the use present, what is the get method, what is the of nullable. Okay. Okay, then go to the next thing. Then first, if you want to use optional class, we need to create the instance for that one, right? Yes, definitely optional. Now you have employee object. Okay, so you have employee object. So your requirement is you need to print the name of the employee. Okay, so if you print the name of the employee directly without checking the if the object is present or not, it will throw the null pointer exception. Okay, it will throw the null pointer exception. To eliminate that null pointer exception, we are going to use the optional class. So if you want to use optional class, first thing you need to create the instance. What is the first step? You need to create the instance. Now we are going to see how many ways we have to create optional class. Okay, the first way is we have of method. Okay, so this is the one of the method existing in the optional class. Okay, by using this optional class we are going to create an object. So let's see, create an optional object containing a non-null value. What it means? Non-null value, and throws the null pointer exception if the value is provided null. Okay, so by using of, we are going to create the, so first we are going to optional dot of is one of the method. By using of method we are going to create the optional instance. Okay, so this, okay, so we are able to create this optional instance. Okay, now if you want to see this one, the data of dot is isPresent is one of the method existing in the this optional class to check whether the data is present in this optional or not. So let's see, option is a container. Option is a container. It is going to hold one value. In our case, employee object is the value. So here you are passing this employee object. So if you place that object, option is going to hold that value, or else it is keep an empty. Okay, let's see. True. That means we are have the object. So this is one of the way to create the option. But what is the drawback of using this method? So the drawback of using this method, so maybe we cannot predict, right? So maybe the data will be available or may not be available in the runtime. So some cases we are going to get the object or may not be get the object. So maybe there is a chance of the getting the null also. In this case, if your method is returning the null value, so if you're using this off method, so if you're using off method, definitely the object must be present. If not, if you get the null value, it is going to return the null pointer exception. See, it is going to return the null pointer exception. So that is the drawback we have when we are going to use off method. So if you are 100% sure about that object, then only you should use the off method. So if you are not sure about that object, you are not going to use the off method here. Okay, in this case, most of the real time, which method we supposed to use for this? In real time, we are supposed to use ofNullable method. We have, let's see. So this is the way to create the, I'm going to paste this code here for your reference. Okay, so this is the way to create the optional instance by using off method. Okay, the next one is create an optional object contains a specific value. The value can be null. In this case, the optional will be empty. That means you can create the optional class instance by using the ofNullable method also. But here the point is, if you use the off method, if you pass the instance of the any other class, if the instance is must and should be present. If it is not present, then that means if the object is null, it will throw the null pointer exception. But in case of the off nullable, you can pass the instance. The instance maybe contains the data or may not be contains the data. It won't be problem. So if it is contains the data, the optional will contain the respective object, or else it will contain the empty. Okay, let's see. Now we see the null pointer exception. We are going to handle this one by using the off nullable. So this is off nullable. Okay, so now it is returning the true. What if I change to null, or if I change to null? So see, it return the false. It is not going to throw the exception. Okay, so this is the best way to use the optional class. Why? Because in real time, if you are working with the, maybe in real time if you are working any project, maybe the application itself, maybe there is a chance of the you are going to hit the multiple methods, multiple database queries. Maybe you cannot predict, right? So we cannot predict which one returning data, which one is not returning the data. In that case, if you use the off, maybe if the suppose if the method returning any null, so that time you will face a null pointer exception. Your program is going to terminate it abnormally. So which one is the best solution? I mean, which one is the best method to use in that case? In that case, off nullable method is the best way to use that one. Okay, so now if you use off nullable, so if the object is contains the data, it will hold the data. Or else if the object is not containing data, that means if it is null, in that case it is going to contain the empty option. Okay, so if you see off nullable, we are calling by using the class reference. That means it is a static method. Okay, is present, we are calling by using the object reference. That means it is a instance method. So that one also you should make sure that one. Okay, this is the second way. So I'm going to paste this code also here. So this I mean this document I'm going to share you later, so that is going to useful to you. Okay. So now we missed this one. What is this? We can create an empty optional object. So if you want to create one empty optional, okay, so that is also possible. So how we are going to create optional dot empty. So it is going to create a one empty and empty container. Let's say an example, if you have container, so the container is, if you create the container first time, that is an empty container. If you want to create the empty container, you are going to use this empty method. So but how we are going to use this empty in our program? In our program level, we are not going to use this empty. Okay, we are not going to use this one. But ofNullable method, whenever you call the ofNullable method, first it will check the data is present or not. If the data is present, it is going to hold the data. If data is not present, it is going to call the optional empty. Okay, optional empty method to create the empty option. Let's see that one also, the implementation for the ofNullable. You can simply understand ofNullable. But we need to understand each and everything. That's why I'm explaining this concept. Okay, you can see. So if a value is null, internally they are checking that one null, but so it is one layer above that. If you use the methods, that is very simple. So if it is not, if it is null, you can call simply empty method, or else it will return the off method. So this is the way. If you see the off method, it is going to give the only optional value. So that's why you are able to see the that null point exception. These are all the static methods. This is a static method. This is one of the static method. And if you call the off nullable, first it will check the null reference. After that, it is going, if it is null, it is going to call the empty method. Empty method is not nothing but it is going to return the empty optional. Okay. Okay. So that is the way of creating the. Let me paste this code also here. So if you go to the Google, maybe you can get the mm, I mean number of websites about this option class. But in our video, if you are watching as a fresher, or you are a student, or if you are trying for any job, or a experienced person also, so you can simply understand why, because we are explaining each and everything in the practical way, right? So we are not discussing about the theoretical, practically. So before I am preparing the notes, then after I am executing these notes in the Eclipse. Okay, you will get the more idea about this. So if you are watching my videos first time, please subscribe. Okay, so I recently started this my journey with YouTube. So the main purpose of the starting my journey, I just want to share my knowledge. Currently I have the 6+ years of experience in ID industry, so related to the full stack developer. Okay, so my only intention is, so whatever I learn, I just want to share with you guys. So that is the main reason I created this channel. Okay, so now we just started this one. Only I explained the small topics on. So in later we are planning with the one big course related to the microservices, Spring Boot, and each and everything whatever the related to Java. At the same time the SQL and Angular also. Okay, you will get more updates. Okay, then discuss about the methods. Now our first step is, now you call one method for getting the object. Then after getting the object, you need to perform some operations. Okay, so this is the first step. So this is the first step we completed. What is the first step? Step one is, you are going to call the one method or anything, whatever the some other db or db query, or you are calling the some other private, some of the methods to get the sum of the data. So now you call the data and you got that information. Now it is not recommended to perform any operation on the object directly. So before performing the operation, first what we supposed to do, we need to get an optional instance by using this employee. Okay, we have our original object. So by using this one, we are using ofNullable. So by using ofNullable, we got this object. So then step 2 is completed. Step 2 is completed. Then after completing the step 2, Then we need to check, okay, we need to check whether the optional is contain the data or not. Okay, option is a container object. So if you put the data, it will hold it, or else it will keep an empty. So how you are going to know that one it contains the data or it not contain the data? So that's why they provided one instance method. The instance method is present. What is the purpose of this? It returns the true if the optional contains the null value, otherwise returns false. Okay, you understand this one? What that means? So if this container, if optional is contains the data, it will return true, or else it will return false. Okay, now can we check this? So this is the step 3. We are going to check whether this optional instance is contains or not, contains the data or not. Present, this present. Okay, let's check this one. So it return the false. Sorry, I used the wrong ofNullable employee get info. Okay, it's correct only. So you can see here we are returning the null. Okay, if you are returning the null, that means it is containing the empty option. That is the reason we are returning the false. So if you return this employee object, so if I return this employee object, so it will return the true. Say true. Okay, by using this isPresent method, we are going to check whether the optional class contains the data or not. Okay, let's paste this code here. Then okay, then okay, if data, now I understood. Okay, now we got clear. So it returning the true. That means that means our the whatever the employee object, it contains the data. Then we need to get that value from the optional. Optional is a container object. On that container object we have our employee object. We need to pull out of the employee object from the optional class, optional container. So to get that one, we are going to use the get method. We have the get method. Okay, so this is the optional instance. This optional instance dot get. Okay, if we call this one, it is going to get the employee object. See, we are able to get the employee object. So our only intention is, if you want to perform any operation with any object, before that you need to check whether the object is present or not. To check that one, first we need to create the optional class by using one of the method of the optional. Then we need to check whether this is present or not. If it is not present, you can return one error message. If it is present, you can perform your validations. Okay, so this is a get. So returns the value wrapped by the option if present. That means if any value is available, it is going to return the data. So then here, then we have 4 more methods also. So what is the use, where we are going to use this, we are going to discuss now only. Okay, the next method is orElse. So some cases maybe there is a situation. So if you are trying to get the any object information, you are going to get it. So after that you are going to perform some operation. This is a normal flow. But if the data is not available, then you have to use the some default data. I will give the one scenario. Okay, now if you are making any payments or something, so if you are using the UPI application, right? So if you are using UPI applications, or else you are using the credit cards, right? So if you are everyone using the credit cards nowadays, right? So if you open the credit card application, there we are going to have an option. to set up the limits. Okay, ATM withdraw, they are going to provide one default value. So if you are okay with that one, you are going to keep that one, or else you are going to increase or decrease that value based on your limit. Default limits on POS payments or Wi-Fi, like the Wi-Fi payments. So there is an option you are going to you are going to keep. I mean, you can adjust yourself. Okay. Now, while you are doing on payment, the system internally backend itself, it is going to first check the your limits. If your limits are not available, then it is going to pick the default limits defined by the back. So like that. So now I'm going to create one more instance. Okay, string s equal to John. So this is the my name. Then optional dot of nullable, yes, dot, or what is the method we supposed to use now, or else. See what is going to return this one. So now you can able to see the job. Okay, you are able to see some. So I have name, I created an optionalable. So or else means, so if yes contains the data, it is going to return the data, or else it is going to return unknown. So let's see this one. I'm going to assign to null. So I'm going to assign this one now. Now run this one. So now it is going to return unknown. So that means, so if you are working with any value, if the value is present, you have to use the existing value, or else you can get the one default value. Okay, based on your situation, you can use this one. So this is one of the use of the or null. Next is the or else get. That means return the value grabbed with the option if present. That we are fine. Whatever the, if the value is present, then it is going to return the existing value. Invokes the supplier function to provide an alternate value if the option is empty. That means, so in the previous method also it is same thing also. If the value is present, you are going to get the existing value, or else you are going to get the one default value. But in some cases, we are not going to return the default value. We are need to apply some functions, and you are going to apply some business logics. Then only you supposed to return that value. That means you need one function to perform your own logics. Okay, so if the object is not present, you need to perform some business logic, then only you have to return that object. In that case, you are going to use the or else get. So here we are going to or else, this code we pasted later. So now we are going to use the or else. It is the unknown is a default value. You cannot perform any modification here. Or else get, it is one of the supplier function. Supplier is one of the functional interface, default functional interface in the Java 8. Okay, it is going to return the unknown. One second, I pasted this one. Okay, unknown. See, above, I mean, previously or else get, the way of working pattern is same, but in or else you have to use the default data. I mean, While application loaded time only, you are going to get the some default values and place in somewhere. Those only you can able to return. But or else get, if the value is not present, if you want to perform some custom logics, here you can perform this custom logic. Then after you can return your own custom value to outside. Let's see how it is going to return that one. It is going to return unknown if it is not present, or else it will return the existing data. Okay, Shiva. So that is the difference. Okay. Then next, or else true. If the object is not present, if we want to report one custom defined exception. So that time we are going to use this or else true. That means or else it is going to return the default, or else it you can apply your custom logics and return your own customizer object, or else throw it is going to return. We need to report if the name is not available. I need to throw one custom, I mean user defined exception. That time we are going to use, I mean if you want to report any exception, if the value is not present, that time we are going to use this one, return new. Now I'm going to use this runtime exception, but later we can use. Or else runtime exception. Okay, so this is the way we are going to return the customized exception. That means if the value is not present, that means you want to stop the program with customized exception. Okay, that time we are going to use this method. So if it is contains the value, it is going to return the data. So if it is not contains the value, we are going to return the exception. You can see the exception, runtime exception. So currently I'm using this runtime exception, but in real time you are going to use your own customized exception message with respect to if the data is not present, you have to return the exception. So that is the in that situation it is going to use. So if you see, if you use the normal null checks, you have to check the each and everything, and you need to write the conditions, if else everything. But using this optional, we have the some default methods to handle situations. Okay, maybe I'm bad at defining the variables, don't ignore for that. Okay, then if present one of the simplest method it is existing. So the purpose is execute the specified consumer function with the value wrapped by the optional if present. That means here we can try this one. Okay, now here we are going to employ dot if present. If the data is present, if data it, it is the if data is present, if you want to print the name of the user, in that case you are going to use if present. Okay, if you want to perform any operations, if data is present, in that case we are going to use the if present. So if the data is present, it is going to print the data, or else it won't execute the logic. So based on the situation, you need to decide where to use this method. Okay, it is not returning anything. So okay, so this is the thing. So I hope you guys like this content, and please practice this one. So if you want more videos from my side, please subscribe this channel, and please give a comment on below. So if you want any more clarity, or if I want to explain more detail in real time also, please comment below. So based on that, I will prepare for the next video. Thank you for watching this video. We'll come back with another video. Thank you so much.